Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to another watch list video. It was a super boring day today, right? It doesn't feel like there has been much to do. And I personally feel like I haven't missed out on anything by not doing anything. I'm not taking a single trade today. Software, healthcare, biotech, those seem like the areas to continue to watch if they keep acting awesome, setting up nice flags, nice ranges, and triggering. But focusing on weak groups is not the move unless you want to endure a lot of, a ton of paper cuts. Go home with a headache every single day. Seems like we're just waiting on Nvidia earnings on Wednesday, but I know where to look if the market does start to turn up off support, right? Get into the indexes here. Let's look at SPY. Double inside day, looks like a little bit of a mini bear flag. You lose the 20-day again. Maybe I'll say I would love to see a move down into this 600 or $760 pivot area. I think that would be a nice spot for undercut and rally. Watch for a bounce. QQQ obviously lost a fall through day low today, but I'm eyeing the $700 support cap area. I think that's an area that maybe we fill, come into, and that'll be an area we bounce. I think we're due for a bounce here very soon. So even if we do bounce, we got a flattening 50, declining 10 and 20. So we'll see what can come from that. But I think as far as a bounce, that's a really good spot to look for SPY and the QQQ, both those areas. But like I said, if we are to bounce, right, I don't want to be focusing on Intel and AMD. I mean, just personally, right, I'd rather be focusing on, and I don't want to be focusing on NBIS or sorry, MU, NBIS, things like that, right? I'd rather be focusing on a Palantir, a Rubrik, right, a Zeta, an Eli Lilly, and there's so many others that, like I talked about, software, healthcare, biotech. Those are the best acting groups, right? If you're trading stuff in a weak group, it's probably breaking lower or acting not the way you'd want it to, even if there's a technical setup, because the group is not moving with it, right? IWM, another index to look at, looks gross for the time being, but it's right above a rising 50. So I'm assuming this is another one where it'll hopefully find support around that area. Overall is building a base, so I don't want to get too negative on it, but last few days, last week or two, last week of action, not the best. So maybe we want just a little bit lower, but overall some of this stuff has a big potential to build a higher low, find a bottom, and I personally want to be focusing on the best acting groups. Okay, I'm going to say that every single day just to put it into my brain every day, but also others. Go through breadth real quick. Right, we saw an unwind in the market today, of course, and also a little bit of an unwind breadth. Seems normal to me. Get into futures real quick. Right, your Bitcoin already moving higher after a little short of a pullback, right? I'll just throw it up on here, right? Ethereum, right? ETHA, big move. Don't want to be buying these things up here. IBIT, same thing. Super big move. Don't want to be buying up here. Maybe a short spot. PURR, same thing. Don't buy this thing up its supply. Let it pull in, build a flag. Short it here, or let it pull in and build a flag, build a new setup, build a higher low, and then you can go for it. Circle's another one, same thing, right? It's back above the 200, but it's finally starting to go trade sideways a little bit, which is nice, kind of a little bit of a rest day today. Maybe a few more days like this, build a flag, and it would look awesome. But it is above the 200 day, so I really like that. Hood, I saw another one that's waking up, a possible crypto name, and an inside day today, so super interesting. Gold, back to the 200, of course, acting absolutely awesome. But these names, right? You look at Gold Miner, ETF, absolute massive move. And then I'll go through a few of these. Don't want to go through all of them. NEM, this looks like a short to me, coming right up into a left side peak. Looks like a possible double top short sale. I just wouldn't be buying this thing all the way up at support. Let this thing go sideways, trade sideways, build a higher low, right? That's the, on these few things I'm going to talk about, Bitcoin and gold have been going vertical. So these things can be parabolic shorts with another few days of action if they're not already. But I mean, to me, it just looks like some shorts, right? AEM is another one, right? Huge move up right into a possible prior area of supply. Maybe to watch for a short. Wheat and precious metals, another one, right? You don't want to be buying these things all the way over 10x ATRs from the 50-day. These looks like short spots, so maybe something you could watch for a short. I wouldn't. Who knows? NQ moving lower, of course, right? Not the greatest look, but maybe it could find support. But nonetheless, doesn't look that good. ES, right? That prior pivot maybe to find support, but it's another one where it looks like a 2-day flag, right? Bear flag moving lower. NQ, had that 1 day of a into the 50 and pushing lower. So it is what it is. The action for now just looks like we're going lower, and I don't, see too much here, but, ES maybe could find support. Russell looks like a 2-day bear flag. Same thing as the ES, right? Bear flagging for about 2 days. Looks like it's ready to continue lower. Your crude oil, not the worst look, right? Looks like it could possibly be building a flag. We'll have to see. XOP, kind of same thing. Finally resting, right? Came into that prior high. And I'll go to my other browser for the rest of these, right? Or my other software, XLP, right, coming right into that prior high. You know, resting for a few days. Could have been a double top short sale 3 days ago, but nonetheless, it's resting for now, so I don't think it looks too bad. XLE, kind of same thing, kind of pulling back in under the pivot, maybe trying to build a flag here. XOM looks, the same, building a flag. VLO is just digesting in a nice way sideways. MPC, same exact thing, right, digesting. DK had an inside day today after a nice breakout. I think this name looks fine. I'm not going to go for these ones, but I think they look not too bad. VG is slowly making its way a little bit higher today. Found support of the 10-day. Maybe just continue, stop wedging straight up like this and just continue to trade sideways here would be super awesome. Give us a tight day and maybe this could be a higher low. I don't think this group looks too bad. I mean, they've been acting awesome, so them resting for now I think looks pretty good. I'm going to go through the groups here and then I'll go through my list, right? SMH, not a good look. Maybe can find support a little bit lower, but for now, not the best, right? NVIDIA got smacked today. AMD breaking lower out of that little ledge. Intel just, yes, it could find support as an undercut rally at that prior left low, but not something I'm personally interested in. But I will say Marvell has been holding up really well. It did close barely green today, right under that little pivot it kind of made. If you go to an hourly chart, you can see drop down to that. Looks like it probably wants to go lower, but not a bad day today. So if it can hold up while the rest of the group gets hammered and then finds a low, maybe Marvell's one you could go for. So just continue to keep an eye on it. For now, nothing to do. Mags, maybe like a little bit of a bear flag here. I don't know though, but it's super tight nonetheless. And NVIDIA ER is 2 days away. So maybe that'll have something to do with it, of course. Microsoft did act super awesome today, but overall the range, it's building a range. It's not my favorite, but we'll see what can come from this. Maybe just continue building the range or something, and then we'll see what it can do from there. Amazon, I just don't know. This thing is just not acting the way I'd want it to. It's so, it's building a range, but it's just such an ugly range, and it's just not acting my favor. So maybe a few more days, and I'd have some more clarity on the way this looks. But for now, it was nice to see it green today. It was nice to see, a lot of these mags, like Google was green today, even though the market was red. So it's interesting to say the least. And then Tesla was the short at the 50-day. Got smacked pretty hard today, which was interesting. Your XLV, this is one of the best looking groups, like I talked about. Healthcare, beautiful bull flag, right? AbbVie looks like a bull flag. GILD looks like a bull flag, just broke out of a stage 1 base, looks like it's moving into stage 2. MRK, another bull flag, post gap up on news. Eli Lilly, a name I own, out of the base, and it's flagging, looks awesome. And then Moderna, 3 days tight. I will watch this through the prior day high. I think it's building a flag, like I talked about. You got like an hourly flag that you're kind of trying to build, but I will watch through for another tight day tomorrow. It'll be interesting. See how it trades. If we get like a little bit of a washout and then a reclaim, or a 620 setup, whatever you want to call it, and then we get a super tight day and then a push through, maybe I could take a small position, then watch it push through, and then this thing to wake up again, then maybe go back up to new highs. It's in a great group. Insane news, right? I don't think this is done yet, and I want to continue to keep an eye on this, and I think it looks pretty damn good. Best group, so I'd rather be focused on this. IGV, right, getting super tight. Right, I mean, 2, 4, 6 days tight and an inside day today. I think this looks awesome. If the market gets any sort of, its feet on the ground or some traction and it wants to go higher at any time, I think the IGV and the software names look absolutely explosive and awesome. Palantir building a perfect range. Toast, just continuing higher out of that little mini range. I think it looks fine. ServiceNow had an inside day today. It's trying to build a 3-day flag, which I think looks pretty good. It's back above the 200. It's an actionable stock. Maybe finds a low 10 and 20 day or something, and that's where you can pick it up, or it just breaks out of this little mini pivot it's built. Would be super interesting. Nonetheless, it looks really good. Shopify, earnings gap up. It's starting to trade sideways, build some sort of a range, so I'm going to let this one kind of keep doing that. Spotify, this looks like a pretty big base to me. It looks like stage 1, back to the 200 day, 4 days tight. Pretty nice. Looks like it's ready to move into stage 2. I think this looks awesome. I think Fig's another one where I threw this one on the list as well, and also Spotify's there too. Inside days today. If they can push through their pivots and break out of the bases, I think that these ones I'd like to maybe take a 5-10% position and see if they can work. But nonetheless, big bases inside day today after getting above the 200 day on this Fig as well. So it looks pretty good. I already talked about Spotify here. CHYM, power earnings gap. You build sideways, it's building a flag, right? Part of that group looks good. Team, don't see much to do with this one. It's extended, but if it can continue to build out a flag, would be interesting. QLYS, maybe a pull into that 20-day, that prior low as well as an undercut and rally spot. If the market sees a little bit of a weakness in the morning into that support area, and you get a name like that. And I think MongoDB is another one where you kind of got an ugly close of the 20-day, but maybe a rally back through in the morning. could be a spot to take it, and that'll be your reversal bar and a nice like pullback flag, whatever. But this one was a little heavier today, which wasn't my favorite, but still want to keep an eye on it. Uber and Lyft, they are not software names, but obviously they do have big softwares. They're transportation names, but big bases, or at least a big base in this Uber looks like a stage 1 base, and maybe want to move into stage 2, right? You know, you kind of got that Fig spot, and then Uber, same thing, inside day to day. So super tight. Can it push through that? Would be interesting. And then Lyft is another one, part of that theme. It's building a nice little flag, so interesting to say the least, and stuff I just want to keep monitoring. Cyber ETF, right? You know, a lot of these things were either losing the 50s or not acting the best. Looks like this one is searching for a higher low. Rubrik's got earnings in 3 days, but it looks awesome. It's on the list and one of the best acting leading names, building a flag. I think it looks awesome, and above today's highs, I will go for this one. So super interested in this. CrowdStrike lost the 50, so not the best. FTNT lost the 50, but a tight day today. Is it trying to undercut the moving average and then rally back through it? Rally back through that 50 day? That would be super interesting. And if the group wakes up, that would be awesome. And then Okta, another one where it's just, you know, it's at that left low. So if you wanted to play this as an undercut rally, if you really wanted to own a name like this, maybe that's an interesting spot. But for me, I'd rather go with a Rubrik. Yeah, so ArcG, acting awesome, right? You know, doing nothing too wrong. TXG maybe a little bit up there, so don't want to be buying up here, but man, this thing's acting great. Twist, kind of same thing, right? It's building sideways, trying to build another flag. B-Fly still inside that base, kind of a harsh pull today. Not anything too bad, but back into the 20-day, not a bad spot if you were able to get that. But I don't know, this is not my favorite. I think the other ones look better. TEM, you know, kind of resting. A lot of this stuff is slowly resting. GH, another rest day. I will continue to keep an eye on this name as a flat base breakout. So realistically, I'd be watching over today's highs, because if we can hold above today's lows, that can make it a pivot, aka a higher low, and I think that'd be an interesting spot. But nonetheless, you got a flat base. It's slowly building the range. So let's get out of this range, and that could be a good area to enter into this name. I think it looks pretty good. NTRA is another one. Sorry, Illumin. I'll get into that NTR in a second. Illumin is another one, just continuing higher. Maybe need some digestion to buy it, but I mean, nonetheless, this thing can just continue going into space if it wanted to. I think it looks awesome. It's in a great group. XPI flagging. This looks really good, right? I talked about Moderna. I talked about AbbVie. I think I did, right? As XLV holding, looks like a flag. TVTX. Oops. TVTX, right? Another name. Power earnings gap. It's building sideways. Looks like it wants to push through the pivot. TGTX. Inside day to day after a big update. I don't know if there was news or whatever that was, weird candle, but inside week so far, right? It's right under a huge pivot. So maybe it wants to push through that. I think it's an interesting inside day, one to keep an eye on for sure. NTRA, did I talk about? Another one, power earnings gap, building sideways, already out of the pivot, 2 days tight, not too bad. And then CDNA, another one, building a super nice, high and tight pivot, almost a high tight flag. Right, pretty big move. Yeah, it looks like a high tight flag to me. So super interesting. Definitely want to keep an eye on the CDNA, and honestly, I can even throw this on the list. Looks pretty damn good to join the list here. But it's in a great group, and it's got a nice setup, so I think it's worth the try. But if you're kind of scared to buy these biotech names, depending on which ones they are, which I can tend to be as well, because if you look back at some price history on some of these, right, there's times where they just randomly in the morning gap down 20%, 30%, 40%. I don't really want to be in that, so I'd rather keep position sizing in a spot where I could take a loss and still, be able to survive the next day. So maybe a 5% position in a stock like this, but nonetheless, I think it looks good, and it's building a high tight flag. The group is just, showing you it's acting awesome. LYTE, right? Maybe a crazy group to talk about. I thought I'd just throw this in here at the last part. Right, maybe LITE off the 50 day is trying to build a higher low, and COHR off the 200 day is trying to build a higher low, but AOI, not my favorite, man. It just does not look good. And AXTI, another one, right? They make a big move and then there's no sideways, right? Everyone's talking about these names like, yes, the first pullback is a higher low, wasn't too bad of a spot, but I mean, if they don't go sideways long enough, then how long is that breakout going to last? And if the whole group's rolling over, then you don't want to be trading these stocks. And that reminds me of UMAC. I talked about that yesterday. It wasn't a bad inside day, but the group sucks. Look what happens, right? It's not going to work out. It also didn't trigger. But SpaceX is another one where didn't quite trigger, but the group sucks. So this thing is not going to go anywhere until the group can wake up. Look at Rocket Lab. Look at RDW. Look at Lunar. The group absolutely sucks. UFO holdings or NASA holdings or aerospace, whatever, right? The group absolutely sucks. It's not going to go higher. Same reason why MU gapped down day and acted like shit. Same reason why can't say Dell. Dell's not acting the best. Obviously, this is not a name I'm watching just yet, but I didn't like the action today. And same thing with HPE. I will watch these things as they pull back maybe a little bit more, but I don't know. They're just not acting the best. Looks like bear flags. I put them on the list as a high or low possibility if the market were to turn up and not break the fall through day low, but these things are not acting the way I'd want to, and there's other names that look better, right? A stock in a bad group has a way lower probability of a technical setup working out. We're seeing that play out, right? On top of names being up thousands of percent, like a Micron or whatever, stocks move in groups and birds of a feather flock together. So focus on the best acting groups. They move together. There's a reason why I got software names on my list, right? Because they all are setting up together and they're working together. Biotech, healthcare, same thing, right? Eli Lilly, right? There's a reason why Eli Lilly and AbbVie look like this, right? They're in the same group. They flock together. Okay, I'm going over my watches here really quick. Going to keep this short CDNA high tech flag above today's high. Will be an interesting spot, or just a move out of this little $49 area. Interesting to me. It's in a great group, looks great. Fig, right? Stage 1 base, back above the 200 inside day, above today's highs would be an interesting spot, which is pretty much aligning with that pivot area. Looks like it wants to move out of a base, right? This thing's been an absolute turd since its IPO, but it is building sideways and it's building a pretty nice base. So Unity is another one, right? You're getting a huge base in a lot of these software names. Can some of them emerge out of it, which a lot of them already have? Most of them, if not, have already merged out, but not a bad day today. I will watch it over today's highs. Frog, software, pull into the 50, big wick, and then the inside day today above today's highs, and it's an interesting spot. It's building a range in the last few days. As long as it doesn't break down, it can, trigger above today's highs, would be an interesting spot. Or maybe it comes in the 50 for one more tap as a little bit of another wick right here, doesn't break the lows, and maybe it could be a spot there too. But just watch for a washout, see how it acts, or if you can get the market moving with it and it pushes above today's highs, that would be an interesting spot. Super nice tight day. It's building a base and looks like a higher low setup. GH, another one to continue to keep an eye on. Double inside day inside this mother bar, but I will watch a flush into the 20, see how that acts. But if we get a little bit of a gap in the morning and it starts to push through there and the group's going up with it, I think that's an interesting one to take. Hinge, still building a base, maybe it's another tight day or two, and then a push out of this pivot is a spot I'd watch. Eli Lilly, I own this name already, but if it breaks above this flag area or today's highs, I think that could be an interesting spot for me to add a little bit more onto it. I would love to do that. Maybe it was good to add a little bit more onto it today, as it comes into that pivot, but nonetheless, I think it looks like a good spot. Nice, super tight day and a great group. Moderna, same thing, right? We'll see if it has a little bit of a wash tomorrow, another inside day. It's super tight, or just a little bit of the group going up with it and it pushes through today's highs. I think that could be an interesting spot. NEM, I'm watching for, I think this one had a little bit of a gap up in the after hours, but it kind of faded off. So I will watch as a double top short sell into that left side peak, right, for a short spot. It's just straight up off the lows, the whole group straight up off the lows. But if this thing wants to just continue powering higher, and so does the rest of the group, I'm not going to just sit here and try to short it all day long. But if it wants to gap up a little bit, fail at that level, that'll be an area I'd watch. Watch the rest of the group, see if it rolls over with it. But nonetheless, I think these things can be shorts the next day or two, three, with the way they're just going straight up. So if they continue straight up, then maybe the conviction on the short side goes up even more after each day. But NEM, at that spot, I think was a nice one. Oscar, a part of that Hinge group, that GH group, the healthcare stuff. A few more days sideways would look nice, right? It kind of rejecting that pivot. Just let it continue building out this little bit of a range it's building, and then a push through the pivot would be nice. PanW, right? I still want to pay attention to this group, right? Rubrik looks awesome. I don't think PanW looks too bad. It's still above the 50. Nice wick yesterday. Inside day, can this be a higher low setup? Maybe reignite this group a little bit. It's seen some weakness the last few days. Above today's highs would be an interesting spot. Pretty much above actually Friday's highs, because that aligns with the 20-day. I want to see a push right through that. And we'll see. Palantir, one of the best looking names, building a nice range. Post earnings gap up back above the 200. This is exactly what I want to see. So above today's highs, or give us another tight inside day today. And that would be super interesting. Rubrik, same thing, above today's highs. Nice flag. Does have earnings in 3 days. So I don't know if that's one to really go for. Maybe if it's really triggering perfectly and I want to take it, I'll take a 3 to 5% position just to have something. And if this thing can go up 5-10%, in a day, at least give me an ATR or two. Then maybe it's something I can hold with that super tiny position, or trim some, then hold like a 1 to 3% position, and then earnings gap up comes, whatever. Snow inside day, right? It was a little bit heavy today, closing at the lows, but I think it still looks fine. It's it's building out the range, so let it keep building out the range, but not a bad day yesterday, and then an inside day today. So maybe a little bit of a pullback into the 20, find support. Just want to continue to keep an eye on it. Looks awesome. Spotify, I talked about this one, big base, inside day today, push above today's highs, interesting spot. And Zeta, last but not least, right, another one, same setup as all the software names, super tight day today through Friday's high / today's highs is the area where I'd watch as a spot to own this name. But any sort of a little bit of a pull, maybe a little bit of a washout, and you can just continue to watch this name. It's holding up awesome. It is out of a big base. It's in stage 2, looks like to me. So I want to continue to keep an eye on this one. I think it is going to get ready to move higher here very soon. But that is probably going to be it for me, right? I have 2 positions open. I'm mostly cash, waiting for the market to establish a low while I watch the groups that are acting the best with the cleanest technical setups and the cleanest ranges. Until then, this market can be seen as very boring, and it's best to just sit on your hands, do nothing, right? There's still some interesting events this week, but software, biotech, healthcare remain the focus, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.